Hi, welcome to Astro Babble. I'm Donna from Donna Barr Astrology. Lynda will be back very shortly, but today I'll be talking about the full moon in Scorpio, which is going to happen at 4 degrees, 18 minutes of Scorpio. A full moon means a lot to do with things that are coming to fruition, culmination, things that are the fruits of your labor should be visible by now. I'll be talking about the full moon, the moon mansion, and the stone one. So today is on the 23rd of April will be the full moon. First, I'll talk about the moon mansion. The moon mansion is the 17th moon mansion. It is the crown of Scorpio. So that's really cool. It has the nature of Mars and Saturn. It gives you protection of resources, guardianship, security. It's good for businesses as well as besiegement. It means it could be an impending loss if you are in a position to be on the wrong side of what the universe wants. So it's a safe travel by water, as well as lasting friends and lasting love. So this is really a pretty positive, even though it isn't Scorpio, it is a pretty positive, I think, moon mansion. And so this full moon is happening in Scorpio. A lot of planets are still building up in Aries. A lot of the planets are still pretty bunched up together. That's why we don't have a whole lot of aspects this week or this next fortnight. The only outlier is the moon. So it is the one that's aspecting everybody. So there's going to be a lot of moon and lunar things. And I do a lunar forecast every Monday. I post it on my Instagram account as well as in my Facebook groups. So keep an eye on what the lunar mansions are. There's a lot of squares and oppositions, and so there will be a lot of activity. It'll feel like a lot of activity. I think a lot of people have been feeling the activity already. So if you are a Scorpio rising, we're going to go in with the horoscopes for the full moon. If you are a Scorpio rising, this full moon is going to be happening in your first house. This is the house of just you. This is where you are seeing some fruits of your labor, things that you put into place probably about 6 months ago. You are beginning to see that now. Any of those projects that you had in mind that might take a while, this is when you might be seeing them come to fruition or culmination. And if you are a Libra rising, this is going to be happening in your second house. So the second house is the house of finances and the things that support you and sustain you, things that you value as well. So any of those types of issues that you were working on 6 months ago, bringing them now will all be coming to fruition around finances. It could be your raise that you were working on. It has a lot to do with your money as well. This is what they consider your money house. And if you are a Virgo rising, this full moon is going to be happening in your third house. And the third house is about early education, short courses, your community, the places that you drive to frequently. This is places where you're really, really familiar with. It might not be that you go there daily, but that you are very familiar. You would know where to get a newspaper, where to get coffee, where to get, this is the things that it would show. This could also be your car. This could also be your family, siblings, even your extended family, cousins, aunts, and uncles. And if you are a Leo rising, this is going to be happening in your fourth house. This is the house of lineage. This is where your family comes from. This is also the place where things come to rest. It could have something to do with your home as well. This is also your home and real estate issues. So anything that you might have been working at around your home, or real estate issues or your lineage things, even your parents. This could be coming to fruition around those topics if you are a Leo rising. And if you are a Cancer rising, this full moon is going to be happening in your fifth house. And the fifth house is the house of the things that we create. This is also our hobbies, as well as things like concerts and sporting events. These are things that we do for fun. So this is actually the fun house. Things will be coming to fruition with this house. And if you're a Gemini rising, this full moon is going to be happening in your sixth house. The sixth house is the house of service as well as your pets. This could be also the house of illnesses coming to fruition. If you had a surgery coming up and this might be the time when you're finally getting that surgery, or this could be if you have like a 3-day bug, this could be the time when where your fever spikes as well. If you are a Taurus rising, this full moon is going to be happening in your seventh house. The seventh house is the house of the other. So things that you might have started 6 months ago that might have something to do with the one other person, whether it's you're finally able to see a lawyer or a doctor that you made the appointment 6 months ago. This will be coming around fruition around that time. When the moon is full, it always means that things have already planted your seeds, you're now reaping those rewards. That's kind of what the full moon means, as well as your partner. This could have something to do with your spouse or significant other. It's the one-on-one relationships that things will be coming to fruition with. And if you are an Aries rising, you have been busy because there's been a lot of planets coming through your house, and there's still more to come. But for the new moon, or for the full moon, this is going to be happening in your eighth house. And the eighth house is other people's money and finances. This could also be your spouse's finances as well. This is a place where you could have something to do with trusts as well as wills and like bank accounts. And if you are a Pisces rising, this full moon is going to be happening in your ninth house. And the ninth house has a lot to do with foreigners, foreign countries, higher education, the more worldly views. That's what I mean by foreigners. It's like the people that are not from your area. This could also be esoteric subjects as well. So if you've been interested in, especially in the Scorpio full moon, if you have been interested in the occult or the esoteric subjects, this is the time where you might actually pick up a book or finished it or started reading a book about the esoteric subjects. And if you are an Aquarius rising, this full moon is going to be happening in your 10th house. I am thinking with that Pluto sitting right there in your house, it's been there for a few months. It's going to dip back out and go back in there for another 20 years. So you are going through some changes, especially with yourself. Things that are changing. And because this full moon might be in this full moon is happening in your 10th house, this is the house that you're known for. This is the house of infamy. This is the house of your career as well. So you might have some things that are culminating around those themes, especially with that Pluto there. I think something's changing around what you're known for if you're an Aquarius rising. And if you are a Capricorn rising, this full moon is going to be happening in your 11th house. And the 11th house is the house of your hopes and dreams. It's also the house of groups and associations. So things might be coming to fruition or culmination around the topics of your friends, your groups, your associations, those types of issues. If you're a Sagittarius rising, this full moon is going to be happening in your 12th house. The 12th house is the house of it's kind of the house of the hidden house. It's the house where you would go and retreat to. It's if you had an illness and you are in a hospital, this might be when it's when it's coming to fruition, where you're actually gonna get that surgery or take that time to work on those inner things as well. This is a time where you would be bringing to fruition those things that you were working on. It could be the hidden things. It could be it could be the hidden enemies as well. This is kind of the house of endings, the 12th house. It's when you want to start something new. So it's the house that kind of pushes everything aside and gets ready for the new stuff. So something very well might be ending around 12th house issues for you if you are a Sagittarius rising. And the stone I wanted to bring to show you, it's not really a natural stone. This is a stone that is a man-made stone. And I normally never show these things, but this is a kind of a cool stone. It is called the Gaia Stone. It's helenite. This was formed by the ash when the volcano erupted. And it's called helenite. When the volcano in Washington State erupted back in 1980, this is called helenite, and it looks it's like a glass. It is made from the ashes of Mount St. Helen. The workers accidentally put a torch to it, and this is what was formed. And I thought this is very scorpionic with the transformation of a material that we were shoveling away and throwing away. This is what it could be. So one man's junk is another man's treasure. This has energy of the earth. I use it for the energy of earth and fire. It also it is the energy of earth and fire. It works for I use it in grids for the earth. When I am working, if I am going to be doing a lot of gardening or transplanting and things, and I really want them to take off and have that energy, this is the stone I use, or one of the stones I use. And I built a grid, as well as I will write an article about this particular stone. It has good grounding energy as well with that. So that's why I kind of really like it. And it's a pretty color. Here is a grid I built in support of the earth. So this is a grid that will work for anyone who wants to give Mama Earth a little love. Now moving on to the aspects. The first aspect that we've been talking about on April 23rd is that full moon. There are there's a good square, although it's separating from a square with Pluto and the sun. So that might be challenging a little bit. It was stronger on its approach. That's really the only major aspects that we have with this, other than a lot of conjunctions. A lot of conjunctions are coming around. We're separating from that big one, Jupiter, Uranus. And as I'm recording this, that hasn't happened yet. So I'm not quite sure what that's all about. I will be waiting in the wings with everyone else. And then then the next aspect will be happening on April 25th, and Mercury will move direct. And everybody, hides their head and wants to, stay away from a lot of major things when Mercury is in retrograde, and it does need to have a little bit of caution with it, but it is meant to readdress things that you've worked on in the past and you need to redo them. So this is a good time to readdress those issues that you have worked on in the past and you want to redo them. it should work out a little bit better. We're not quite out of the woods. It still has its shadow period until about May 12th or 13th. The next aspect we have is Mars will conjunct Neptune. And this is a lot of fighting for issues that you not quite understand what you're fighting for. This could also be a bar fight, when you add Neptune. Neptune is that planet that makes things a little unclear, and Mars is that fight and aggressive. So you could be fighting for things that you're not quite sure what you're fighting for, or just simply a barroom brawl. The next aspect we're going to be talking about is Venus enters Taurus. And this is resoundingly a lot happier place for Venus to be in, as Taurus, or when she was in Aries, she was in a sign that was opposing her normal house. So that is a house that's in detriment. Here, she's in her own house. So she has all of the tools that she wants. She can affect change in the way that she wants to and in the manner that she wants to. Before, she had to work with whatever Mars was offering. And when she's in her own sign, this is a time where she can be effective and work with in her own house and know where her own tools are. So this is going to be a lot easier for Venus to work with when she is in Taurus. The next aspect we're talking about, or I'm going to be talking about, is Mars is in Aries. Now, just as Venus was not comfortable in Aries, Mars was not comfortable in Pisces. That was kind of one of Venus's houses. So Mars was very uncomfortable. He was wearing his suit of armor or whatever rough clothing that he's wearing, and he had to sit down on very pink, fluffy furniture and probably not very happy doing it. But in Aries, Mars is very much at home and can then affect the change that he wants to. Not necessarily good. This is Mars. It's one of the malefics. And when he gets into his own home, he has his own resources and his own tools that he has at his disposal to affect the kinds of changes that he wants to change, that he wants to do. This is a time when Mars is known for, yes, aggression and cutting and blood and separating, but he is also in charge of those finer qualities and the higher vibe qualities of leadership and courage and bravery. So these are the types of things that hopefully we can see more of. More leadership would be nice, for I think everybody concerned, especially with there's a lot of countries that are going to be experiencing new leadership this year. So hopefully those individuals who have the finer expression of Mars will be able to step forward while Mars is in Aries. And that's going to be happening on April 30th. And so then on May 1st, Venus will square Pluto. This is energy that can offer transformation in relationships as well as challenges in relationships, things that need to change in a relationship, which can be challenging. It could also be rewarding if you need that transformation in your relationship. This is the time to do it. This is easy to do power plays. Try not to use manipulation as you're changing in your relationship. It's better to work at it and get both parties to transform their thinking. I'm not a marriage counselor, so don't necessarily take my advice, but I think it's always better to operate on the upper vibes than the lower vibes. And then the next aspect, on May 2nd, Pluto will go into retrograde. And Pluto in retrograde is a time like all the other retrogrades. It's revisiting. It needs to go back over some ground where it hasn't cleared up some things. This is the last time Pluto will be retrograding into Capricorn for another 250 years. So this is going to be the last time. Whatever wasn't changed is now going to be required to change. So, Pluto is that planet of change and transformation, but it really does clear out to get you to grow in the way that you were kind of fated to change or take on. Pluto is a strong planet. It does not mess around. It isn't a planet that, you can just, it's that deeper type of transformation. It's not the superficial kind of transformation. This is the transformation that makes you want to change or need to change. And this will be the last time it's moving into retrograde. It's going to be retrograde. It's going to be working on this shift throughout the rest of this year. It's going to move into Capricorn September 1st and then move back into Aquarius by November 19th. So we will be experiencing Pluto trying to move from the Aquarian house into the Capricorn house and then back into the Aquarius house by November. So this is what we'll be going through with Pluto going into retrograde. The next aspect I'm going to talk about is Mars is going to sextile Pluto. And when Mars sextiles Pluto, it's a good opportunity to transform, make changes. You don't want to do a power struggle. This is a intense kind of an aspect. It should be on the friendly side. A sextile is friendly. So an opportunity to make some changes. The next aspect I'll be talking about is Saturn will be in sextile with the sun. And as the sun is the faster mover, it's actually more correct to say the sun is sextile Saturn. And when this happens, this could be very much a time when you can have the availability to do the hard work. When these two planets get together, it's asking you to, look at the rules, look at the regulations and try to work within those. And this is as well a time where you have the availability that sun gives that boost of energy. So, and the sextile is a nice aspect. And when these are going on, this is a good time to do the hard work as opposed to stewing on emotional issues. Saturn is the planet that it's the hard dad. It's the hard entity that makes you follow the rules. So it's like the dad, did you do your homework? Do you have, did you get all your tools that you needed in order to build your project? It's those things that kind of make you conform in order for it to turn out right. So you kind of need to listen to Saturn, but don't listen too hard. If Saturn is being hard on you, try to concentrate on hard work as opposed to emotional issues, because Saturn can really beat you up emotionally if you don't have a good fortitude against it. So try to hold on to that. And the next aspect I'm going to be talking about is the new moon in Taurus. And this is going to happen May 7th. This is a great time to start new seeds, especially in Taurus. This is the spring. This is things when things are growing. Hopefully you've already started your garden by now. It's May 7th, or started at least planting your seeds. At least hopefully you already have them in order to get them in. But anyways, depending on where you are in the world, I am all the way in Michigan, so the state that says hi to the world. So we kind of have a later of a time. Usually, I think plants don't really go in until after Mother's Day. So this is going to be May 7th on the new moon in Taurus. You have Venus in there. The Jupiter Uranus is that aspect has already passed. So whatever big and revolutionary has already happened. And again, we have all those planets all bunched up in that little bit of room. So with the new moon in Taurus, we'll be looking for planting new seeds around that will come to fruition in 6 months. And with that, those are the horoscopes, the moon mansion, the stone, and the aspects for this next fortnight. And hopefully this gives you some information on getting through these energies. And if you are interested in getting a natal reading, I do natal reading, horary, electional, as well as medical. And I work with crystals and stones for chakra balancing and layouts. I am starting a new channel, Donna BACM. So I will explain what that means in more in depth into the video. But for right now, it's Advanced Crystal Master. I've gone through a lot of schooling on getting those chakras in balance and the importance of it. And hopefully I'll be able to share some more information on energy healing with that on that channel. So thank you very much. And we will send Lynda our best wishes that she comes back soon. And I do expect that she will come back soon. Thank you for watching. Please share, like, and subscribe to this channel. Thank you very much. Bye.